All right. There are different ways to address risk. Avoidance. What's avoidance mean? Does it mean you're going to avoid the risk? You're going to avoid the operation that entails the risk. It means you're going to get out of that business. That's one way of doing it, but it's kind of the nuclear weapon of risk management. It says, we're not going to be doing that anymore, therefore there's no risk involved. That means you don't get to actually get the reward that's potential there as well. What's transferring risk in our environment? What are we talking about when we say transfer risk?
Insurance.
It's exactly what it is. Pay them off. I think I heard Joan too, and a little bit of Brent. Okay. Good. Yes. We're going to make somebody else pay for our risk, right? Mitigation. That's going to be our number one thing. What's mitigating risk?
Putting some sort of compensating control on it.
Yep. Yep. We're going to put countermeasures in place. We're going to try to shrink that risk down. What's accepting risk?
Not doing anything.
Good.
Taking it.
Not a trick question. Joan's right there. Awesome. Very cool. Yes. We're going to live with it. Go ahead. Bring the risk on. Let's do it. Who is in charge of deciding what level of risk an organization is going to entail?
Senior management.
Senior management dictates that. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Will that change from manager to manager? Yes. Will it change from organization to organization? Yes. Does it change from industry to industry? Yes. Why do we even tolerate risk? Why don't we just everybody avoid risk altogether? Because we wouldn't leave home. We'd live in our basement eating bleached oatmeal, right? That's all we would do.
Bleach could kill you. You'd probably just be regular.
That's very possible. That's very possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to offer you something you're not going to get in any other training this year. You're about to have the risk management puppet show. Are you ready for this? All right. Here we go. This is the family walking through the woods. They are thrilled to walk through the woods. They like walking through the woods. This is their risk. It is a bear, for those of you who can't determine what that is. That's a bear. R, okay? Risk, business. First thing we're going to do, what was the first thing on the slide? You have it written down?
Avoidance.
Avoidance. Has the risk gone? No. But we don't get to walk in the woods. That's so very sad. We've avoided the bear, but we don't get to walk in the woods. What's the next thing we can do?
Transfer.
We're going to buy bear insurance. It looks like a bull. Don't mock my clip art. We're going to buy insurance. If we get mauled, it's okay because we'll get paid for
Our
it.
family will get money.
Yes. You might actually encourage your brothers and sisters to go out in the woods, right? Good. What is our next way of addressing risk?
Mitigation.
Mitigation. I'm going to put a countermeasure in place. I'm going to make sure that the bear can't eat us, right? We've mitigated it. I had another graphic in place, just in case that one didn't work. While we're walking in the woods, we're going to take a new countermeasure out. We're going to use our bear shrinking ray gun, and we're going to mitigate our risk down to an acceptable level. Is the risk gone?
No.
No. The risk has just been reduced to an acceptable level for us walking in the woods, right? The important point on this to remember is that the risk never disappears. Anyone who can promise 100% risk reduction is either lying, stupid, or selling you something. No such thing. No such thing as zero risk, right? Okay, what's the last way we can address risk?
Acceptance.
What's that?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. We're going to walk in the woods even though there's a bear there. We might be dumb, but we're going to enjoy the woods, right? Good. Everybody get that? Is that the best risk management puppet show you've ever had?
So considering the market for cybersecurity insurance is not flourishing at all, what do you suggest for that?
I'm sorry, say again?
So considering the market for cybersecurity insurance is not flourishing, what would you suggest?
Oh, that's a really good question. Are you unable to find underwriters for information security? I will be glad to steer you in the right direction and take commissions.
I know there are some companies that do it, but they're not willing to like.
Are you talking about personal liability as a professional, or are you talking about for your organization?
I'm a student.
I was just asking. I'm asking. Okay, so you're talking about for the organization?
Yes.
There are firms, there are underwriters.
I mean, yes, there are firms, but the amount of
it's
not willing
expensive
to cover everything.
Yeah, that's what he's going to say. What he's looking for is like the compensating control versus the cost of the insurance is similar.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's what cloud computing's for.
Have you,
Oh God, dude.
I'm worried about the due diligence implications there. You've seen those big buildings in every downtown metropolitan area in the world? They're big and shiny and made out of glass and steel. They're owned by insurance companies. Do you know why the insurance companies can afford those buildings?
Those are regular insurance. Cybersecurity insurance is specific. There aren't that many of those.
But the underwriters are there, and they are making the money because they're charging the rates that they see as a good risk. That bears on their team.
I think you'll find that they're not really that effective.
Oh, I'm not going to dispute that. That's how they got those glass and steel buildings.
I think the problem is that we don't have like the equivalent of actuarial tables. We can't determine what the cost is going to be of a cyber problem, so how much insurance do you get?
And how do the insurance companies address that? How are they hedging their bets?
They just charge a lot.
They charge a lot, and they give what may be seen as not as somewhat substandard coverage, right?
Dan, that's why I'm not selling my APT box yet.
Do they want to pay? Are they in the business to pay out on claims? No, they're in the business to make money.
Yes, but they're not making money if nobody's buying it.
And that's where they're going to have to hit stasis. With every new field, with every new human endeavor, the gamblers are going to have to come up with their stat book first, their actuarial tables. They're going to have to figure out, they're going to have enough of a history to make that determination.
Until they provide the insurance that's of quality, they're not going to get their tables.
They are going to get their tables because
They generate through time.
yeah, they're going to generate it based on breaches. They're going to generate it based on activity. Whether or not you're playing that particular game of roulette, they still get to watch the ball end up in the hole. They still get to see how many breaches there are, in what industries, what brings them on. They're still collecting all their data. Eventually, they're going to get to a point where they're going to make the bets pay out enough for you to take part or cheap enough for you to want to step up to the table.
I don't know. I think they've been active for at least 10 years and they're still not doing all that well.
10 years. Do you know how old Lloyd's of London is?
I don't really know
10 years is nothing to insurance companies.
Okay.
And the reason
I'll bring you a couple research papers on this.
and I'd be glad to take a look at them. 10 years ago, when I was looking to get personal liability insurance, both as a teacher and as a security professional, it was tough to find underwriters who would do that for anything that I could possibly afford for what my liability exposure would be. I was scared to death to go into a classroom with sixth graders because all it takes is one parent lawsuit and everything I worked for my entire life is gone. But to buy a policy that covered it was going to be a lot more expensive than everything in my entire life was worth. I mean, I don't have that much. I drive a Pontiac, you know? So 10 years, that was 10 years ago. Today, right now, my homeowner's insurance offers me personal liability at something like $5 a month for $250,000 worth of coverage. And I can shop that around to State Farm, Allstate. They all have it. They all have professional liability tied into your homeowners. It just took them 10 years to catch up. In terms of IT security, the reason nobody wants to make that bet right now, has there been any pattern as to who gets breached? Has there been any reasonable expectation of what kind of controls and mitigating countermeasures are actually going to be effective against somebody like Anonymous or a nation-state sponsored hacker? No. So the insurance companies are still doing their research. They're still doing their homework before they place that bet. They like their big glass and steel buildings. What happened to the last insurance company that took a bet on CDOs or credit default swaps? Anyone remember AIG? They lost $70 billion. Nobody's really eager to step into the cybersecurity insurance realm yet. Does that mean that it doesn't exist? What it means is, if you're going to buy that insurance, it is going to be expensive. It's going to be about as big as the bear.